know they're going back and forth.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they would matter. If he wants to make some money, Floyd want to make some money.
About the number, if it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It make no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking at right now.
How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling story, in my opinion.
Mike Tyson commented that the potential fight between Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou might not be the most even or traditional matchup, but it would still capture huge public interest and bring in massive revenue. He noted that the curiosity about how such a clash would play out makes it exciting to watch. According to Tyson, the unpredictability of this fight would attract fans from both boxing and MMA, making it a major crossover event.
You're such a big MMA fan. You know, I've been to UFC fights and I see you sitting octagon side. I can't help but wonder, if you had gotten into MMA as a young man, as a teenager, instead of boxing, how do you think your career would have went, Mike?
Hey, I had no idea, but I'm really enthused about the MMA, you know, because not thinking, I had no idea that Raphael, who's from a background of MMA, would know so much about boxing. I had no idea, you know, only thing I know about great boxing is the great Ed Joffa, who was a legendary boxer who happened to be Brazilian, but never knowing, if nothing conscious that he would know that much about boxing.
Do you think you could have learned all the wrestling moves and the takedown defense and could have been a champion in something like the UFC?
I could have done all that stuff. But once someone stepped on my foot, I would have tapped out. My feet are my weak spot.
Francis Ngannou responded strongly, saying that even being offered a fight with Jake Paul is an insult to his name and legacy. He explained that Jake hasn't earned the right to face someone who's spent years proving himself at the highest level of combat sports. Ngannou added that offers like this show how much modern entertainment has strayed from the true spirit of fighting.
Think about you to fight Jake, to replace Javante. I'm like, which Jake? You know, like, I was so confused, you know, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, you know, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say like, they even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It make no sense for me. It's not my.
Chael Sonnen reacted to the idea of Jake Paul fighting Francis Ngannou with a mix of amusement and disbelief. He said the matchup would be interesting, not because it's evenly matched, but because it would test how much punishment Jake can actually take. Sonnen joked that even Tyson Fury, one of the toughest heavyweights ever, was knocked down by a single clean punch from Ngannou. If Fury, with all his size, skill, and experience, barely survived that power, Sonnen questioned how Jake could possibly handle it. He admitted Jake's confidence and willingness to face bigger names is entertaining, but warned that stepping in with Francis Ngannou is a completely different situation. According to Sonnen, Jake doesn't have Fury's size, power, or durability, and if Fury could only handle one punch, Jake might not last even that long.
This tells this story that Nikista's offering him the fight, but he's just not hearing it that way. Like, all right, you said you need help, and you called me, and I'm happy to help you, but you know what is it that I can do? So when Francis finally realizes it, he not only says no, he says he was offended. He said, Jake, you want me to fight Jake? Jake who? He said, Jake Paul. He said, that makes no sense. That's the last thing I would want to do right now. It's the last thing that I'm looking for. And, all right. Now that is a good and comical story. And I think that Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit for that. I would have really liked if that match would have gotten booked. I mean, I think that would just solve so many problems from a storyline perspective. And there's this story going on out there that it has to do with courage. Now, how you ever question a combat athlete's courage, I think, is hard. How you ever question a boxer's courage, right? Where you've only got two things you can do, and they both involve bludgeoning. You can't even grab a hold of the guy or try to squeeze him. You can only bludgeon and be bludgeoned back. I think you're got an uphill battle to question somebody. But they have been very effective in doing just that to Jake. Hey, you start with this NBA guy, and then even those MMA guys, they're not boxers. And then when you got around to the boxers, but they weren't current boxers. Then when you get around to the current boxers, they're not big enough boxers. And I just loved it. When I heard that Francis Ngannou might be going against Jake, I loved it. What's that going to look like? How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. That's like
Francis Ngannou isn't just heavier than anyone Jake Paul has faced, he's on a completely different level of power. While Gervonta Davis relies on speed and precision as a lightweight, Ngannou is a true heavyweight, known for his raw strength and devastating knockout punches. Analysts say that if Jake is serious about fighting him, he'll have to completely overhaul his training. That means adding muscle, building endurance, and conditioning his body to withstand hits from a man who weighs over 260 pounds. His entire approach, from footwork to sparring, would need to change. Lightweight fights demand agility and quick reactions, but a heavyweight battle requires toughness, balance, and raw physical power. Experts agree this wouldn't be another influencer-style event for Jake. It would take months of intense, specialized preparation under elite boxing trainers to even have a chance.
Something unique. It would be something incredible. It's the same reason that I would be intrigued by a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event, and a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, the weight different and everything, it make no sense.
It's a good point. Obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you are going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need to even try to compete if it's someone like a Francis Ngannou or even an Andre Ward or whoever else, not just the fight styles.